What's going on, guys? Welcome back. My name is Brandon, and today we've got a quick workshop organization project. Stick around. I built this rack a little while ago to hold all my welders. If you want to see how I built that, I'll have a link up above and you guys can check out that video. It is super handy. Holds all these welders. It's got storage on the back side, but the issue that I'm having is that this is a pneumatic table. It can go up and down, and occasionally I need to put a snowblower on it to work on it or a motorcycle, and I can't get things off and on this table when this rack is in the way. That ramp right there clicks into this table right here. We're gonna have to do a little bit of modification on that to get around these stake pockets, but how this welder bracket was built is it's made to fit into these stake pockets that I've welded onto the side of this table. I think what I'm going to do to make things a little bit easier on me is put these welders possibly over there in that little recessed nook, and that's going to involve me cutting some more of these brackets, welding them to the table. After looking at this for a couple minutes, I might put a set of stake pockets, keep those sets there, but then again also do the same thing on this side. Put a set of like those stake pockets over there so that the welders could be on that side of the table and the whips would be heading that way and the accessories would be on this side. So I think it'll just give me some versatility and make things a little bit easier if I want to move things around the shop or if I want to set it up a little different. You know, this is something you could always incorporate into a, you know, put some wheels on it and make that type of design. Put another set of brackets on this side that come out, and you could hold, you know, 6 welders in a fairly small package, or, you know, welders, plasma cutters, whatever you got, all of your stuff. Put a set of wheels on it. I mean, the possibilities are endless. That's kind of why I like to share these like organizational ideas with you, because sometimes I know for me it spurs ideas when I watch videos like this and I come up with different things like, oh, I could do that or try this. So that's why I enjoy sharing this stuff with you. Kind of spurs the creative juice, or at least it does for me anyways. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is start getting some of this stuff cleared off. Got a better idea now. Pretty simple setup that I got here. It's got some aluminum scrap kind of panels that I've used for shelves, just some lightweight shelving. Just set right in there. Got little cleats on each end just to help hold them so they don't slide around. And I built these using a MIG process, which was pretty slick. And that's what we're left with. And these are just sitting down inside these little stake pockets that we made. A little piece of dowel on the end just to keep them from sliding through. I actually shoved like some plastic shims down in this little gap here just so that this doesn't rattle and it doesn't have any play in it. That gives you a little bit better look at it. That just serves as a stop so it doesn't slide all the way down through these little stake pockets. Those are just permanently welded on, and that's what I'm going to do at the other end of the table. And these are just some plastic wooden, you know, in substitute of a wooden shim. They're plastic, and I just slide them down in there just to keep it from vibrating around. So these legs right here are just under 2 inches. They're 1 3/4 inches, so we'll make the little stake pocket 2 inches, and we'll need 4 of them, 2 for one side and then 2 for the other. We're going to be using this material right here, guys, and it just fits over this material. This is 1 by 1, so this is probably like 1 1/4 inches. Yeah, it's 1 1/4 inches tube. We're going to make these 2 inches long, and because I like to share little setup tricks with you guys, I'm going to share a repetitive trick for you to make all your cuts identical if you need to make more than one cut. This is my Evolution 355 MCS. It's a 14-inch dry cutting metal saw, and the blade bevels on both sides of this table, which makes it super handy. I love this saw. Saw is right around $800, but if you do a lot of metal fabrication, this saw can pay for itself in a really quick time, because it saves you a lot of time on setup and having to rehandle stuff and move your saw around. It's just a huge time saver. So I'm going to show you a real quick way, guys, how to set up a stop to make repetitive cuts. We know we want our piece to be about 2 inches long, right? So I'm going to set this up measuring to the side of my blade, and we know we got to go over a little bit more. So I'm going to measure from the side of my blade to the side of my material about 2 inches, right there. Then I'm just going to take a piece of scrap metal that I have, and I'm going to bump it right to the side of that, and then I'm going to clamp that scrap metal to the fence. So now when I go to put this material in place, I'm going to bump it up there, make the cut, and now that'll be 2 inches every time, this piece. So we will bring our clamp over, we'll clamp this side down in place, and we're ready to cut. Now another quick tip is loosen this up, put this foot on right here, and this will allow you to cut the material on the bias, and you're going to get longer blade life out of your blade by doing it that way. You'll be cutting it like this, still doing the same thing, and you can still use your stop. It's just cutting it with less contact, so this will save your blade a little bit more. So here's one piece, we'll set it right off to the side, and let's cut it again. Same thing if you were to cut plate. You can cut plate this way. It's going to be really hard on your blade and you're going to need to use a lot of pressure. If you can cut it this way, it's a lot better for the blade. It's going to make it last longer and it's a lot easier on your saw as well. Just clean the edges up real quick with a flap wheel. Then after we get these mounted on the side of the table, we're going to have to modify that ramp. So you come over here at the end of the table, and these are supposed to fit down into these holes, this ramp right here. But you can see because of these right here, they're hitting this. They're hitting this area right here. So we'll have to cut and work this metal a little bit because I want to be able to use this ramp. It just makes it so hard getting stuff off and on this table without it. One of the first things I'm going to do is make a mark to where I have to grind off the powder coat. This is powder coat, not paint on this. So now I kind of got just the bracket held onto the table, and I'll just make a little mark down here. So we'll say like here and here is the actual where that leg is. Then we know we'll just hold this up onto center, and we know we gotta at least from that area out a little ways, we gotta clean that up too. I got this position right where I want it. It's flush to the top surface, and then I just checked it real quick for 90. We'll get this one tacked on, and then what I'll do is I'll grab the bracket and slide it right in. That way it'll locate it perfectly right to where this one goes. So let's get this tacked on. Because all my other welders are all packed up now, we're going to be using my Fronius Transsteel 2200. I'm using Lincoln 30 thousandths solid wire. You see I got it set up for steel wire, 30 thousandths. We'll turn on our gas, standing off to the side, crack it real slow. There we go. We'll get the gas purged by pressing that. You see I'm at about 20 CFH. Let's turn that down a little bit. We don't need that much. We'll go at about 15 would be adequate. Now we'll set our material thickness. And our material thickness right there, you can do it by thickness, amperage, or wire feed speed. So we'll just go by thickness, and we're at 125 thousandths. Let's just go one, it's not 1/8 inch, it's a little less than that. So let's go at about 110 thousandths and see how that works. That's it. We're on C25 gas. That's how quick this machine sets up. So we're at 110 thousandths thickness, 19.3 volts. If you click it over to amps, that's going to be about 134 amps. There, just try fit everything, make sure everything fits real good. Now we'll get it tacked on again and weld it out. Yeah, not too shabby. I'll wipe it down with some lacquer thinner and we'll paint it up, get it looking good. Give it a quick test fit, make sure it's going to fit in there nice. And it does, look at that. Nice. Very nice. Now I couldn't run these stake pockets in the same place I did on that side. See how I ran this one all the way out to the edge here? Can't do that because I have the handle here. And what this is the handle that squeezes the front tire on the motorcycle. So I had to move it back a little bit to about here. But you can see, because it's so tight on this side, I actually had to separate the table a little bit and take the table apart so I could get in here to get this welded. Plus I want to get in here to get this painted. So now I got this one all welded. Now we'll do the same thing that I did on the other side. I'll set that in here, make a mark right where it's got to go, then tack that other stake pocket on over here somewhere, and we'll be good to go. We'll get some paint on it and reassemble it. Then we can start working on that ramp. A little tight over here, that's for sure. Alright, looks like I got to do a little bit more material removal over here. Then we'll be in good shape. It's hard to believe how big of a mess I can make simply just welding on a couple little 2-inch stake pockets. But yeah, same thing over here. So we're all good, and let's get this mess picked up real quick. I always talk to you about how to turn on your machine, but now let's talk about turning it off. Now, one thing that you should always make sure that you do is drain off the pressure against your valve. Don't just shut the tank off. Make sure you're draining the pressure out of this diaphragm so it's not being held there. Close your valve, and right after you close your valve all the way, and you don't need to go crazy either, just go until it seats and then just give it a little bit. That's it. You don't want to over tighten it. You should always drain the pressure off this diaphragm, and you can do that either by pulling the trigger or by pressing a solenoid, and this one just happens to have a solenoid. So I'll press that solenoid button and you'll see how the bulb will go up, the gauge will start going down, and then eventually all of it will drop. And there you go. And if you want, you can always back off your regulator as well. I don't. It's actually a needle in the seat, so there's nothing really that can wear out. So that's what I do, drain off all that pressure. Then any of that stuff in the end, you can see how it's kind of like sooty and all messed up. I take that apart, I wipe it all down, and I get this all ready for the next time. So the next time I take it out, it's all clean and ready to go. Let me show you how that looks after I'm done wiping it out. And you don't have to get too fancy. This one's pretty easy to clean. Just pull off the nozzle, wipe this out. If you've been using Flex Core, you want to dip all of this in some nozzle gel. That'll keep spatter from building up on the end of this. Then I usually wad up like a paper towel, almost like a Q-tip, and I run it down through the inside of the nozzle, especially with a machine like this. The consumables for this machine are really expensive, so you want to preserve them, take good care of them, make them last. And then I just do that. You can see how super clean that is inside there now. Give it a little bang there, give it a little bang. Put it back together. get that little piece of BB off the end of the wire for the next time you're ready to weld, and there you go. Look how clean that is inside. That is all ready to start welding the next time around. And another habit that I always get into is I always unplug my machine when I'm done with it. I never leave any of my welders plugged in, ever. Now I'm just going to slap on a couple quick coats of black paint, and I just kind of outlined with it with some painter's tape. That way I can just kind of like slop it in there and I don't have to get too fancy. I think it'll show the lines less. Then I'll show you a little trick how I get this to speed up a little bit, because I don't got all day to wait around for paint to dry. And if you don't want to wait around all day for paint to dry, just throw a heat gun on it and it'll dry super quick. It's kind of like a poor man's baked on enamel finish, you know? Alright, now while these are drying, you can see those welds came out pretty good. We will get working on that ramp. So the way this works, guys, I think I showed you briefly, is that these little pins right here fit down inside these little holes. But as long as this is here, that's not going to allow that. We're going to have to cut out and notch for where these square tubes are. Do something like this. And probably something like that. We'll go a little bit wider because you can see kind of how there's a weld down here, and I don't want this to interfere with the weld, so I'll probably like take the line out of it. And we did the same thing over on this side, and I think it's going to have to go almost all the way to the top too. The way I'm going to do this, guys, I'm going to use a diamond cutoff disc on my grinding wheel. There's all kinds of ways you could do it. I might even be able to put this on my portable bandsaw. Maybe we'll do one way and one another. Alright, that's taking too long, so we're going to do something different. And I clamped this down, as you can see, just so it wasn't vibrating all over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this marker again, and I'm going to just mark the back side so I can see, and you'll see, I'm going to use my bandsaw. This will make it a little bit quicker, guys. And if you want to see how I built this, I have a video for that. You can check it out in the link up above. Now I think for this, guys, we can just fold this lip right over. I'm hoping. Yeah, I think that'll work all right, guys. That looks pretty good to me, guys. Let's see if it fits. There. Yep. Now that does just what it needs to do. Sits in there just like that. See how nice of a job that does, guys? It just kind of blends it in pretty decent. That is a pretty slick setup, guys. I like that a lot. I'll tell you what, having that little ramp right there made it so much easier. What I normally would have had to have done is lowered it all down and then pulled it up into this area and then drag the front end on and then drag the back end on. This was just so much easier. And these are still in a perfect place right out of the way. This is going to work awesome. Now, if you want to know more about this, you can go check this out on my other channel, which is Motivated 207. I'm going to go through and do its first oil change. Well, actually, its second oil change. The first oil change is after 1 hour use, and then the next one, I think, is at 6 hours or something like that. So this is brand new, pretty much. It's a 2023 KTM 450 XCF. And I'm going to go through, take the suspension apart, and re-lubricate it because they're kind of notorious, I guess, for not having very well lubricated suspension and steering head bearings. So I'm going to take all this apart and lubricate all that too. So if that's something you're interested in, go check it out over on my other channel. That's kind of like my hobby channel. So that rack was kind of just a nice little organizational kind of like tidbit to get you guys thinking on organizing your shop. Until next week, guys, I will see you then. Take care, stay safe, and God bless. New videos every Friday, so don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next week, guys.